Football injury report news. Deandre Hopkins, he's questionable with a rib injury, but it looks like he's going to play, in my opinion. Here's Hopkins. And if you don't, Christian Kirk and Rondale Moore and A.J. Green will get more of a workload, but we know Hopkins is a gamer. He's a tough guy, and I don't think he's missing this game for the Cardinals here on Sunday versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think Hopkins, he's good to go, and you play him. Lamar Jackson, he's questionable with his illness, but I think he's going to play in this game Sunday, and he was a full participant in practice on Friday. Hollywood Brown, he's questionable, but he returned to practice on Friday with the ankle injury, so I think he's good to go and fire him up in a great matchup versus the Detroit Lions in Detroit in the indoors. Christian McCaffrey, we know he got hurt on Thursday Night Football, and the reports have come out he's going to be week to week now with the hamstring injury. So if Chase Hubbard's out there, I'm giving you the early heads up to go out there on the waiver wire and put a lot of fab money on, because I think McCaffrey, he'll probably miss anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, in my opinion, and that's a pretty decent time, in my opinion. Darnell Mooney, he's questionable in this game with the groin injury versus the Cleveland Browns, but I think Mooney's going to play in this one, and he's a guy I like as a decent number 2 to flex option if you're in deeper leagues. Obviously, if you're in basic 10 to 12 team leagues, you're not going to really rely on Mooney. But anyway, he's questionable in this ball game. T. Higgins, great breakout wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's doubtful in this game with a shoulder injury. So Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd should get more targets and more plays this way here for the Cincinnati Bengals in their matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So right here, if you're a Higgins owner, you got to go a different direction, obviously, this week. And it's a tough blow, and hopefully he only misses this week. Jarvis Landry, we know he's on injured reserve, and he's going to miss 3 or 4 weeks here with the knee injury is Landry. So he's a guy you really can't count on for the next few weeks. And a guy I recommended to drop early in the week, Amari Cooper, he's questionable in this game for the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. But Cooper said no matter what, he's going to wear a flak jacket, and he's good to go in this one versus the Eagles. So we know Cooper's a gamer. We know he's a tough guy, and he's going to play in this ball game for the Dallas Cowboys. DeAndre Swift, he's questionable with the groin injury, but I expect him to play. And if you don't, obviously Jamal Williams, he's going to get 25 to 30 touches probably in this ball game. Tyrell Williams just went on IR a couple days ago with concussion, and he's probably going to be out 2 to 4 weeks here. So he was a guy I thought could be a breakout candidate this year in Detroit, but obviously the injury's setting him back. Carson Wentz, he's questionable versus the Tennessee Titans, spraining both his ankles in last Sunday's ball game versus the Los Angeles Rams. But even if he plays, he's not really going to be a fantasy factor, in my opinion. Here is Carson Wentz. So this week, you shy away from him, and there's not many great options on this Indianapolis Colts team, especially in this matchup versus the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion, this week. So Carson Wentz, questionable. I think he'll still play because he's a tough guy, no doubt about it. And the Colts need him after falling 2-2. But I don't think he's going to play. Josh Jacobs, he's doubtful once again with the ankle injury. So Kenyon Drake owners, you go out there and fire him up because he's going to have a good workload. He's got a great matchup versus the Miami Dolphins this week. And I expect Kenyon Drake to have double-digit fantasy points and play a good role in this game here for the Las Vegas Raiders. Al Henderson, he's questionable with the rib injury here, and we knew he left last Sunday's ball game versus the Colts with the injury. In a tough matchup here versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you play Henderson, but if he don't play, Sony Michel is a flex option or a desperation number 2 running back option, if that this week. But I think Henderson will play. He's questionable this week, not ruled out or doubtful, so that's a good sign. Tua Tagovailoa ruled out early in the week with his fractured ribs, and he'll be out for Sunday's game in probably a couple weeks, in my opinion. Dalvin Cook, he's questionable, and he was a non-participant in practice. But Mike Zimmer, the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, he's not worried about it. He did some work, and he's questionable. But I think Dalvin Cook, especially with his team 0-2 here, he's going to go out there and suit up, even not at 100%, and play in this ball game for the Minnesota Vikings versus the Seattle Seahawks. Evan Ingram, he's questionable with the calf injury, but reports have come out he should be able to be good to go versus the Atlanta Falcons. And I have Evan Ingram as a sleeper tight end this week, so if you haven't checked out those sleeper videos, they were all up on the channel for every position, because I think Ingram could find the end zone versus a weak Falcon defense if he plays in this game. But reports, like I mentioned, he should play with a little bit of a banged calf. Kenny Galway, another week, another questionable tag with the hip injury this time here for Galway. But I think Galway will play, and if he don't, we're going to see more Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, and maybe the rookie Tooney as well in this ball game here for the New York Giants. Jamison Crowder, he's doubtful once again this week with a groin injury here for the New York Jets in their matchup at the Denver Broncos. Tevin Coleman, he's ruled out with an illness. He's going to miss Sunday's game. So Michael Carter and Ty Johnson are going to be the running backs in that game. But it's going to be a tough matchup for both those running backs, in my opinion. At obviously a tough Denver Bronco defense. So right here, those guys are desperation flexes or desperation number 2 running backs, in my opinion, this week. Ertz, he's out. He's on the COVID-19 list here, reserved. So right here, he was losing value anyway. Dallas Goedert's the true number 1 tight end over there in Philly. So Zach Ertz this week, he's a guy I'm just going to rule out, and not this week, and not even a fantasy factor, in my opinion, is Zach Ertz. San Francisco 49ers, tons of injuries. Elijah Mitchell, he's doubtful with the shoulder injury, and he's not going to play. Michael Hasty, he's out for the 49ers in this one. Jeffrey Wilson Jr., running back, he's still out on the injured reserve list. So right here, Jaquez looks like the next man up, and he's a guy I had early in the week as a sleeper option at the running back position. And right now, in a desperation throw, he's a guy to definitely go out there and play. San Francisco's got a matchup versus the Green Bay Packers, and the former XFL running back, Jaquez Patrick's going to get a chance out here for the 49ers. And maybe he can make some noise and make some plays in this game. Rashad Penny, he's ruled out of this game with a calf injury, and he's going to be out a week or two, the Seattle Seahawks think, in this ball game. Antonio Brown, he's ill with COVID-19. He's on the COVID list, and he's going to be out for this game. And Antonio Brown, I was looking forward to see what he could do in this ball game versus Jalen Ramsey in a tough Ram defense. But obviously, he's ruled out this week, and hopefully next week he gets back into the thick of things. Washington football team, Curtis Samuel, he's on injured reserve, and so Ryan Fitzpatrick. So they're going to be out for a few weeks for the Washington football team. So that's the week 3 injury report. A lot of guys injured. A lot of guys could step up for fantasy football. And we'll see if some of these questionable tag guys do play, and even if some of these awful guys somehow suit up this week. So that's the injury report for week 3 of the fantasy football season.